This is a question I get asked all the time. Is it worth doing cold outreach? It's so much work. Are the rewards worth it? I'm here to tell you it depends how you do it as to whether the rewards are worth it. So, in my mind, yes, it does work. Obviously, you have to, as they say, kiss a lot of ugly frogs before you kiss your prince, in a way. You've got to get through people that may not be interested now, are interested, but not sure if they trust you. And in some cases, you'll get people who will jump right away and say, yeah, this is for me. Let's talk. All right. So cold outreach, it does work, but you've got to put in the work and you've got to do it the right way. So I'm here to talk today about how it can be done wrong, what the impact is on your personal brand when you do that, and how it can be done. And I'm going to tell you about this through my own personal experience that I've had in the last 3 days with three different vendors. Two of them that reached out to me and got it wrong, and one that reached out and got it right. And I want to compare the two so that you can see how it can work when you do it right and what to avoid so that you don't do it wrong. So let's dig in. This is really going to be a masterclass in cold outreach fails and how to put it right. So let's dive in with the first one. Mistake number one is really predictable pitch patrol. Now, what do I mean by that? So I was approached by someone who sent me a connection request on LinkedIn, and I looked at their profile, saw what they did, and I thought, okay, I'm going to be their target customer. I'm pretty sure that if I accept this connection request, I didn't know the person, and if I accepted their request, I was pretty sure I was going to very soon after get a message selling some services to me. And sure enough, I was right. I pressed connect, and within a few minutes, I got a message from this girl straight out telling me what she did, and no warm up, no how are you, no nothing, no attempt to get to know me. Do I need her services? Nothing like that. It was just a straight pitch. Now, that was mistake number one. So what she should have done was she should have warmed me up first. Now, I'll go in a little bit later onto how you can do that and how you can do that successfully so that when you do connect with someone, they're going to be more receptive to having a conversation with you. Okay. Mistake number two is too good to be true. So when she pitched me, pitch did sound too good to be true. To be honest, it really did. It caught my eye, so it worked that way because it caught my eye, and I was like, "Oh, if this were true, if this could happen, my life has been made." Right? So it was that good. So I was interested, and I sent her a message, and I just said I'm tentatively interested, meaning I've got a bit of reservation, but I'd like to hear more. But in the back of my mind, there was no trust at this point, and there was less trust really than when I connected with her because this claim seems so outlandish that it's okay. I don't really believe this, but I'm open to being convinced. Yeah. So if it sounds too good to be true, you've got a lot of work to do. It could be that it is true and it does work, and that would be awesome. But your prospective buyer doesn't know what you know, and your job then is, and it's a heavy climb uphill to persuade them that it is true. So what she should have done is she should have backed up her claims with some kind of evidence, offered some context around how this would help me personally, showed some results from clients, and just been believable. But at that stage, even at that stage of the process, I just met her in the fact that we had just connected. So she's given me a whole load of information all in one go, and it's not believable. So even if she did put in all of these things I've just said about offer, context, results, still I'm dubious at that point, and it's too much information too soon. So be careful you don't do that as well. So moving on to mistakes number 3 and 4, scheduling shenanigans. So what happened when I said I was interested? She jumped straight in and said, okay, let's set up a call and let's speak. And then she said, what time zone are you in? So I was thinking, okay, right, that's a good point. She's actually taken note of the time zone. She obviously wants to schedule the meeting in a time zone in my time zone so that the meeting is at a convenient time for me. So I was quite impressed with that part of it. That kind of looked up a little bit. Oh, she's asking for the time zone. So I gave her my time zone. And then she suggested, how about 10 p.m. your time? And I was like, okay. So at this point, I had things to do. I had my work to do. I couldn't spend all day on LinkedIn in a chat. And when I saw the 10 p.m., I was like, hang on a minute. I mean, you're trying to sell to me. You're the one who contacted me. You haven't, at that point, when you are the cold contact person contacting a potential client, you don't have the advantage at that point. You're on the weaker side because you're interrupting them. They didn't ask for your services. They didn't ask to be connected. So when the message she was sending, basically when she said, okay, 10 p.m., I was like, okay, so I'm working within your time zone, so you can get up at 10 a.m. and that's fine by you. And I have to wait till late in the night to speak to you. That didn't make sense. So I left the conversation at that point and just thought, I'm just going to get on with my work. I'll come back to her later. I was still interested in what she had to sell, but thought, okay, I've got better things to do at the moment. This is just a ridiculous, ridiculous thing that she's proposed. Yeah, respect people's time. What she should have done was respected my time, recognized that she was at a disadvantage, and that if she's wanting to sell to me, it's got to be at a time during my working day, my working hours. Yeah, respect people's time. And just be aware that because you've contacted them and they didn't ask to be contacted, their time is very valuable. You've got to respect it. Okay, mistakes 5, 6, and 7. Desperation is not a strategy. So never show that you're desperate for a sale. So obviously, I had responded. Maybe I was the first person to respond that day. Who knows? I don't know. When you are going through cold calling, this is one of the things about cold calling or cold outreach. You're going through a lot of people at one time and hoping that someone's going to say yes. So you're probably going to get a lot of no's, not at this time, not at this time, before someone says, yeah, I'm interested. So then when you get that, yes, I'm interested, your hopes get up. It's okay, this could be the one. I could make a sale here. But if you come across as take it like that, you don't take it as like a numbers game. The fact that it's going to be, you need to find that prince, right? So if you're too desperate at that point, when you find a prince, you're going to scare them off because you're going to sound too eager, and that's not a good look for your personal brand either. So what happened here was, as I'd left that conversation, she then came back with because I hadn't answered her. And so a couple of mistakes here is, why assume that because I'm on a message chat with you that I'm going to answer straight away? This is not a conversation, a live conversation as such. This is something that could be picked up and left off. I may have had to have gone in for a meeting. There are many different reasons why you don't get an immediate reply to somebody. So it could be, if you're going down the route that she had gone down, it could be that you are pissing your prospect off and they've decided to abandon it. It could be that. It could be they've just stepped into a meeting and they're not going to be available for the next hour and a half. It could be that they got distracted by something else, maybe their dog or whatever. There's many distractions we get distracted by during the day. And that person's attention to your matter, to them, at that point, it doesn't matter. You haven't convinced them. You haven't got enough trust at that point to convince them that conversation is worth carrying on immediately. I can take and leave it at that point. So just be aware that you've got to treat the person with respect. Never in a business communication, and I'm sorry I have to actually say this in this training, but never come back in a conversation with question mark. That is so unprofessional. So she did that. And then obviously, because I hadn't replied because I was off LinkedIn at that point by that time, then the next message was, are you there? So this was what I got, question mark. Then the next message, are you there? So I still didn't reply at that point. When I went back in later in the evening, when I got a message from LinkedIn to say, this person has messaged you. So I went in to see what they'd messaged and I saw, are you there? And I said, oh, okay, all right. So left it. And then the next morning she messaged again, and then just with 2 question marks, question mark. It's so rude. This is just such a rude way of conducting yourself. Don't do that. Don't do that. I shouldn't have to say it. You should know already, but the point is I do see it done and I saw it this week. So don't do this. If they don't reply, there's a reason why they're not replying. It may be they're not interested. In that case, this isn't going to serve you anyway. And it may be just that they got distracted, their time had to be spent somewhere else, and they'll come back to you when they're ready. And just respect that. So what she should have done is obviously respected the pause in the conversation, right? There was a pause. And again, you're at a disadvantage because you're reaching out to them. They're in control of the situation. They're in control of when they're going to speak to you. You don't get to control that. So just be aware of that and don't start sending desperate messages trying to get the conversation back. You need to be polite. You could come back and say something like, I appreciate you're busy. Just let me know when you're ready to pick up this conversation again. Something like that. Just treat them with respect. Okay. So the next mistake, email ultimatum. So what happened next was I did go back in after because I was still, as I said, I was always interested in this offer. It was something that I was thinking, yeah, I'd like to explore, see what she's going to say, see if it were, if she convinces me, maybe I would have taken it up. But the likelihood of this by this point was a little bit because the trust was really way down at this point. But I did message her afterwards and counter proposed a 7 p.m. meeting. That means she would be up at 7 a.m. and it's still after my working day, but hey, a compromise 7 p.m. okay for me. So that was my suggestion. So she immediately came back and said, "Great, okay, let's organize this meeting. I'll get on Zoom with you. Can you send me your email so I can send you the Zoom invite?" And then I came back to her and said, "Can you just put the link in the chat here and I'll pick it up when it's time to get into Zoom?" And then instead of saying, "Yes, I can do that," and just giving me a link, and then she would have had her meeting all organized, she came back and said, "No, it has to be email. You've got to send me your email." So because, and then she gave me some reasons didn't quite understand why. And the thing here is, again, you haven't built that trust to be able to ask someone for an email if they aren't prepared to give it. So I wasn't prepared to give her my email at this point because I didn't know what her offer was. Really, I hadn't spoken to her. I had no idea what she was selling. I didn't know if I really wanted it. And then I didn't want to give her my email and then be on her list for her to spam me later on with repeat offers after that. So I didn't want that. So I said, "No, I'm not going to give you my email. Just put the link and we can take it from there." So I didn't hear anything from her after that. But given this email ultimatum, is like you were already on a channel with me talking. We already had an open communication. You had a way to get hold of me. You had a way to give me a link. Don't change the channel before you get on a call with them. Don't make it more difficult for them. Again, you're at a position of weakness because you're coming in on a cold call. You want to make everything as smooth sailing as possible to get that person on a call with you. You do not want to make it difficult. And I'll go on to something else that happened to me this week that was the same kind of thing. So what she should have done was use the channel that we already had. All right, we were already speaking in that channel. She should have just kept in that channel, kept in that stream, and then we'd have had the meeting booked. Okay. Mistake 9, 10, and 11 is basically zero relationship building. So after this all happened, I went into my LinkedIn account and I looked at, okay, I didn't recognize her name. So has she actually interacted with me before on LinkedIn? So I looked at that and she hadn't, number 9 there, mistake number 9, she hadn't liked anything that I posted. Mistake number 10, she hadn't commented on anything I posted. Mistake number 11, she hadn't shared anything I posted. She had made no attempt whatsoever to build a relationship with me, to get on my radar, to get noticed. All she did was send me a connection request and then bombarded me with an offer. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right. So you've got to have this relationship building going on. All right. So As I said, what she should have done was basically you're in this position of weakness. You need to add value to the person, start to build that trust. If you haven't, because at the moment she's on a conversation with me where I don't know who she is. I don't exactly know what the ins and outs of her offer are. I don't know if it's for me. She's behaved in a way that hasn't built any trust up to this point. And then I look back and really, she didn't give before she asked. She just came barreling in basically and made an offer to me. So you need to give first. You need to give some value. You need to share, build a relationship, show that you're interested, and make it personal to them. Actually, make an effort to go into their profile, find something out about them, and build a relationship with them that way. Everybody knows you're there to sell, fine. But if you make that effort, they're going to notice you, they're going to appreciate it, and they're going to be more open to thinking about trusting you. Okay. So when you do all that kind of stuff, it builds trust. It shows your expertise when you give them something of value, and it actually makes people want to talk to you. All right. When they first get that first message that bombards them with a sale, they're not going to want to talk to you. You've got to make them want to talk to you. This is all about having conversations. And then mistake 13, 12 and 13, she gave up too soon. So the first thing was that she didn't come back to me on the link thing. She didn't give me a link when I said I wasn't going to give her an email. That was an ultimatum for her. Another thing you could assume is that when she didn't reply to my messages after that, there's two ways you could look at this. There's two assumptions you can make. Either she looked back and realized, okay, I've screwed up this pitch because I've done this all wrong. I haven't built any trust. I'm not coming back from this person that's not going to trust me. I might as well move on. Or she just simply thought, okay, this isn't a deal that's going to go through. I'm going to move on to the next. And she's looking at it in that case as a numbers game. But actually, with a real person that might have been interested, and she's just thrown that away because she's projected her own assumptions, her own worldview on what happened in this interaction. So when you assume somebody is doing something for a certain reason, it's very likely that you're wrong. So she didn't come back on something that could have been a sale for her. So that's mistake 12, really. Then mistake 13 is just giving up too soon. She just had a chat that lasted over a day with me. And then that's it. She's gone and she's moved on to the next. And that's in a situation where she got a yes reply as well. So don't give up too soon on these things. You don't know why people stopped having a conversation with you. As I said, it might have been a very good reason. They went into a meeting, whatever. They may have forgotten, gotten hooked onto something else. As I said, what she should have done was not project her assumptions onto people's reactions. You weren't there in the room. You don't know. You haven't got the full story. So don't make decisions based on don't base decisions on things that you don't know about. Okay. And then that, as if that wasn't enough, then just purely coincidental. And this was great fodder for my content. Was the next day a new pitcher contacted me on I think this was still on LinkedIn. Maybe it was on LinkedIn. Can't remember now how they contacted me, but it ended up with them saying, "Are you interested? Can we book you in for a call?" And I said yes. And this was for a different service. And I was looking for this service as well. This was a new pitcher. So they booked me in for the call. And then, so that was it. I accepted the invite. I was there with it on my calendar for the next day to have a meeting with this person. So it was somebody else that booked the meeting on behalf of this person. Then late at night, again, which is a little bit, again, not so professional, and she was in my time zone. So there was no reason why she should have done this in this way. But late at night, she messaged me on WhatsApp and said, okay, we have a meeting. And then she got the date wrong. She said it was Thursday when it was Wednesday. She got the date correct, but she got the day wrong. And said, I'm going to set up a booking link. Can you accept this booking? And so I replied and said, we already have a meeting booked. This person booked on your behalf and invited you in. It's already on my calendar. And she said, oh, that'll be a wrong one. I'll invite you into another meeting. And I'm like, okay. this is now giving me second thoughts as I don't want to go and attend this meeting now. She's making me go and accept another meeting. Okay, it's no big deal, but it's just the fact that, again, they're cold calling, they approach me, they wanted to set up a meeting, they did set up a meeting, and now they're inconveniencing me by making me accept a different meeting. So now I've got 2 meetings on my calendar. Next day, I can't remember which one was the right one. So don't do that as well. Make it, as I said, make it easy for the person to get in contact with you. And, oh, sorry, make it easy for the person to accept your invite to get on a meeting with you. Just don't make things complicated. Like the other person just decided they wanted to change the channel of communication. This person decided they wanted to set up a meeting with a different meeting invite to the same software. It was still Google Meet that she set it up on. So there was no reason she couldn't have joined the meeting. I can only assume maybe that they wanted to record it and she wouldn't have had the recording option. Perhaps that was it. But then if that's the case, then if you've got a automation where you are bringing people in through cold outreach and setting appointments, then really it should be a process where that appointment is only set once. You don't muck people around by getting them to agree to a different appointment later. All right. Then the other thing that happened then was the next day I turned up for that meeting on time. I'm in Google Meet waiting, and she didn't turn up. So I did then send her a message on WhatsApp and said, I'm in the room waiting. There's nobody here at the moment. And I got a message way later, not during the time when we would have had the call, but significant time later, apologizing that her meeting overran. So again, same thing. If you're already in a position of weakness, by being the cold caller, you're interrupting someone's day. They're not invested in your business or your reason for contacting them, but they're interested enough to show up. Have the decency then to show up on time. So she missed that, and she asked for another meeting, and which I refused. So just make sure that you turn up for the meetings on time and you do show up, right? As I said, the mistake was she didn't turn up for the meeting that was scheduled. What she should have done was, again, if you set a meeting, you're chasing the lead, turn up for the meeting and turn up on time as well. So those were 2 disappointing, quite frustrating things that happened during the week that just illustrated cold calling or cold outreach done wrong, right? And you've got to put yourself in the customer's shoes. And in each case in these 2 situations, they weren't thinking of the potential customer. They were thinking of their own sales. All right. You don't want to do that. You need to keep it real. You need to remember what you're doing this for. Okay. So in contrast, and what was happening was here, I actually was attempting to write a blog on this before I decided to do a video. And as I was writing the blog, I got messaged, again, a direct message on LinkedIn by a third person. And this is one of the things about LinkedIn is you will get messaged quite a lot through these cold outreach messages. So I got messaged by another person, but this time I recognized the person's name, and I recognized the person as someone who for the last few days had been liking my posts, had been commenting. Not sure if he shared, don't know. But then he turned up and he had a very polite message just asking if he could, he thought he could help me. So it came from a place of service. He thought he could help me. Would it be okay if he was to be able to describe what it is how he could help me, what he could do? And so then I messaged back and I said, actually, I just told him I'm in the middle of writing a blog precisely about this kind of messaging, and you're the one doing it. The other people are doing it wrong. So I said, I appreciate you for the way you have contacted me and how polite and professional you've been. And yeah, sure. Let me know what you do. So then he sent me a list of things that he did. It was a very long laundry list of services that he provided. And as I had a quick look down them, I was, oh, I've got other people doing this for me. I don't need his services. So I replied, because I think if someone messages you, it's polite to message back in that situation. He deserved a reply. He was polite. He'd outreached in a very respectful way. So I sent him a message back and I said, Thanks for this. So at the moment, I don't need these services. I have other people doing them for me. Now, other people may have then left it there and said, okay, thank you. And maybe they might have said, can I contact you again in 6 months or whatever? But what he did was he said to me, okay, I understand, but it's just that I was looking at your YouTube channel and I really would love to help you with it. And I think I can. And that struck a chord with me because, yes, I need help with my YouTube channel. And I know, and I've known a long time, I need help with my YouTube channel. I just don't have the time to manage it myself. And it needs a lot of work to SEO it and get things going with it. So I thought, okay, maybe I should actually explore this a bit further. So I did book a meeting with him because of that. And the reason I booked the meeting with him was because he was polite, respectful. He'd established a relationship first. He was on my radar. I knew who he was when he contacted me. It wasn't a completely cold outreach. And then he showed a willingness to give value. He showed an awareness of who I was and that he had investigated my online presence. And he was able to tell me things about my online presence. And we set up a meeting so that he could show me what he could do for my YouTube channel. So that's the way you need to approach cold calling and cold outreach to optimize the number of meetings you're going to get. You just need to come at it really from a customer's perspective. So as I said, just to summarize, he liked, he commented, he got my attention, right? Then he connected with me. Then he was direct, factual, and respectful. He didn't waste my time, told me exactly what he was there for, but he positioned it in a way that I want to help you. And he respected my no, but he didn't take it for an answer. He didn't take no for an answer. He knew he could help me. He knew he could help me, and he knew I wasn't getting help. And he knew that my business was suffering as a result of my YouTube channel not doing what it was supposed to do. So he refused to give in. What did he do? He gave value. All right. And I really appreciated that. And that's why he's got my business now. So you should see some differences on my YouTube channel, hopefully, coming up. So, as I said, as a result of all that, he got a meeting with me and he turned up on time. And that just shows you that you can get results with cold outreach if you approach it the right way. So I hope that has helped maybe helping you rethink the whole attitude of cold outreach, and maybe it's something that you want to consider. But when you do it, I just want you to be aware of your brand, your personal brand, and how the way you cold outreach is going to affect what people think of you, because it's a very small window of time and you're a stranger to that person. And first impressions count, right? And you really need to be able to make a good first impression in order to get that conversation started and continued. Now, as I said, the first two people did not do this right with me this week, and they lost business as a result. The third person did everything right, made me feel that they had researched me, they knew me, they gave value, and that they could help me. They showed enough expertise for me to see that they could help me. So that's where you want to come. You want to come from a position of giving, come from a position of serving, and you're going to be a lot more successful in your cold outreach. Okay, so I hope that has helped.